Hey guys, this is Lewis. Welcome back to Stoned A Problems. So on today's episode, I wanted to go ahead and broach upon a particular topic that I've been dwelling on for quite some time now, and that's what what can I learn at this present state of consciousness. Obviously, I'm probably going to be able to provide a much thorough explanation and sense of understanding once I become more intelligent, obviously. But at this present point in time, with the knowledge that I've acquired already and literature and all that stuff, like I've been wanting to ask myself, like, what can we learn from the ideologies and the way the world and civilization really turned at the beginning of the 20th century. With mass industrialization, you had anti-Semitism all over the place. There was revolution all over the place. And, um, so there was a lot of reactionary m- moments and movements going on in the beginning of the 20th century, and those moments and that volcanic activity that was constantly brewing in Europe and in Asia, even in China in the beginning of the 20th century, sparked communism and fascism later on and afterwards, sorry, because I came in the 1920s. So yeah, it came after communism, but those were philosophies or ideologies or whatever that were a reaction to what was going on, or as a way to make sense of what was going on. During those times, there was a huge wave of nationalism, huge wave of independence. And a lot of these empires consisted of different sort of nationalities, different sort of a group of people that identify with each other by their language, or by their culture, and by their own history. A lot of these empires were beginning to fall apart with the pressure coming from all these different nationalities wanting independence, and that obviously started in 1800s. With France, and you obviously, but before that, you had the United States in 1776 with the Declaration of Independence, and a huge wave started. And 200 years later, it's still going extremely strong. It's breaking apart the Ottoman Empire. It's breaking apart the not the Ottoman, the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Sorry, I forgot they merged by that point. Did they? No, they. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. No. That was after World War One. My apologies. So yeah, the Habsburgs and the Austrian Empire and the Ottoman Empire were breaking up because of the different nationalities they had the sphere of control or whatever over. And one of those ways was communism. Communism came in from Prussia, from Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. They weren't really the first ones. There was a whole socialist wave going on. I don't know why they call them the fathers of communism. Communism, socialism, that shit was going on for quite some time before those two fools decided to write Das Kapital. I laugh because it's such a ridiculous book. But yeah. Well, mainly he did that. Well, they were reacting to the working and exploitation of the Prussian government towards the peasants, and their fucked up deals in terms of labor, indentured servitude, things of that nature. So, because there was a whole mass industrialization coming about during that time as well. Well, in Western Europe, because Russia was falling abysmally behind. By the time World War One started, they were shit. And so that's where communism came about. The blatant exploitation, or the perceived exploitation of the bourgeoisie and the higher class against the peasants, against the workers, that they were getting all the money, but yet we're the ones suffering, and things of that nature. So that's where the real ideology of communism, and you can see how it blossoms into that philosophy. And that was a reaction to what was going on during those times in the beginning of the 1900s or the 20th century, whatever you want to say. And then fascism came about World War One, right after World War One. Mussolini did gain power in 1923, I forgot. Because that was the first country that basically took fascism, and that's ultra nationalism. ultra, like, you know what I'm saying, like fucking the Boston Tea Party, the Republicans, you know, like hardcore nationalists. Don't trust strangers, don't trust anybody. It's literally tribal mentality with, they just wrote a different name on top so it doesn't sound so primal, but it is that primal. And that's fascism. And that's after World War One, because Italy was a pathetic show in World War One, when the most inept generals that should have gone to jail for murdering their own men at a ridiculous rate. I think some of them actually did. But yeah, Italy was in utter turmoil, financially broke, and obviously, if you read a little bit of history, you know that desperation brings about, you know, the best opportunities. You know, when people are at their most desperate, they're at the, you know, they're at their weakest, they're at their most vulnerable, they're at their most easily coerced at that point. They're lost. And that was a lot of nations. You know, fascism was adopted in Italy, and even with the same crisis what happened in 1917 with in Russia, and it became the Union of Socialist Republics. Yeah, Union of Socialist Soviet Republics. Or so, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, USSR, the Soviet Union, they adopted communism, and they were vast majority of their population was agriculture. So they were way behind the eight ball. They were broke as fuck. You know, they had the Simon Armistice with Germany. Like, Germany did win the Eastern Front in World War One. It was basically like the opposite of World War Two. They won the Eastern Front, but by that time they did, it was too late, because they were already getting their asses whooped on the West, and they're not ready for a war of attrition. But this century brought about a lot of crazy ideology. Those two dangerous motherfucking ideologies, like Christianity, those two are because those three, communism, Christianity, and fascism, what do they mainly feed on? Is suffering, right? It's at your weakest and worst times, when you're, you know, when you're easily gullible and all these other things, you're just so desperate to find some sort of answer, some sort of meaning to the suffering that you are currently enduring, and you are desperately hoping that it is not in complete vain, that there will be no reward, there will be no solace found because of the struggle that you're currently in, and you have no idea, like, it's basically perpetual, because you have no idea when it is going to end. That's Christianity. That's what it's based on. That's what fascism is on, and that's what socialism, communism and socialism, same shit. Christianity is suffering. You know, you're suffering in this world. You're suffering because the men of the world are taking over you, and that's why it's very akin to the poor. You know, when you're suffering now, but there will be a kingdom, there will be a heaven on the other side if you believe in this God and things of that nature. So there's a solace, there's a reward and punishment thing going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you stay true or whatever, this suffering will mean something. You're gonna go to heaven, you're gonna live in an eternal bliss in the Garden of Eden. No worries, nothing like that. So there's a reward for that suffering that you're gonna have to endure. Communism, you're suffering because the people above you are robbing you of money or working you into debt, while they're keeping all the income, they're keeping all the money. They don't have to, you know, there's not spread around equally, and they're just oppressive. You know, you're suffering because of them. We got to take them down, and the only way we're gonna stop suffering is everybody's fucking equal. Yeah. And then fascism, you're suffering, you're losing your jobs, your fucking your economy is shit, your dollar's worth shit, your house is worth shit, you have no work, there's nothing to do, everything is hyperinflated. Your money means nothing. There's nothing to do. You're starving. Fascism is another way. Don't trust the fucking foreigners. It's the foreigners taking your shit. It's the foreigners robbing your money. Why do you think people don't fucking like Jews? It's one of the main things. This is what I just said. They don't really belong in any nation. I don't really fucking understand the hate, but people really do hate Jews. But don't trust foreigners. It's tribal mentality, because you don't trust anything that doesn't or speak like you. Doesn't look like you or doesn't speak like you. You have no idea what they're carrying. You know, it's a very primal defensive mechanism that is coming into the play, or coming into the very forefront of your consciousness, that's making you react this way. And that's what they feed on. You know, it's all because you're suffering. You're going through the suffering because of these fucking people. You're you're highlighting a target. So that's fascism, and that's why it took off in Germany. You know, a lot of people thought there was backstabbers in the military and the Jews, and the Jews were running deals with the Allies, and single-handedly crushing their economy, while at the same time boosting the enemy's economy. It's all about suffering. And it's extremely dangerous because suffering is never going to end. And that's why people are always going to fall for these sort of things. You know, it's all about how you react and adapt, and how you're going to go ahead and deal with this perpetual issue. This issue is never going to go away. There's no point in trying to hide from it. You know, you're gonna have to go through it. But people like to find some sort of solace and use these sort of avenues as their means of escaping such suffering. That's what I've learned, and it's also more dangerous because World War I started true total war, like war on a mass scale. Like, we could kill each other now for any of these ideologies, and they haven't gone away. I don't know how people are still communist, but that shit's still going on. Fascism is still going on. Christianity is still going on. And we have the weapons now to actually pull it off. Like, pull it off. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it doesn't have to be just those three things. But I'm just saying, you know, obviously there's some money being involved. They can voice whatever excuse they want to the press, but everyone knows none of these people give a fuck about any of those three things. That's the true religion right there. Unfortunately. But still, the 20th century brought on total war. You know what I'm saying? The Napoleonic Wars were the closest to it, because obviously the population of every single country is naturally going up because the standard of living is going up. You know, people are not dying in their 20s anymore, so there was more human resources for the state to bring into the military force, obviously. So it makes sense. But still, you know, the First World War was the first time that people really, states really diverse all of their fucking resources on the war economy. You know, that's where the term basically came from. War economy. Everything is centered around the war. You know, all manufacturing, human labor, everything is just to make sure that the economy is still running and adequately enough, and in the most optimized possible, in order to achieve a positive outcome in the war that's going to follow, or the war that's going on at that present moment. So the 20th century was huge. A lot of ideologies came about in that span of time that have already created a significant impact in our human history in such a short span of their existence. You know, communism is a little over 100 years old, and it's already caused a whole lot of damage. A whole lot. I can't seem to still understand why people are communists. I really dare someone to show me a great example of what communism did. I'm going to make a whole video about communism, to be quite honest with you. Good idea. And fascism as well. I want to dive into these a little bit more. But the whole highlight of this shit is suffering is going to happen either way, right? And you're going to place yourself in an incredibly precarious and dangerous situation if you are going to allow any single source of ideology to provide for you an answer to something that doesn't require an answer, which is suffering. Okay? Suffering doesn't need a fucking answer or justification. It is what it is. I don't, like, why as fucking humans do we need to find an answer to absolutely anything when there probably isn't any? It's just the world. The world is constantly eating itself. You know what I'm saying? The new is killing the old, and it just happens over and over and over and over again. And we are part of that same cycle. We're going to suffer. And, you know, you're going to be subservient to someone else and someone else's ideologies, to try to run away from something. You know, just accept it for what it is, and it all matters as to how you adapt and overcome it, obviously. That's the key right there. What are you going to do with that suffering? Are you really just going to throw off all the responsibilities and the blame onto something else if something doesn't go right? You know, if something goes wrong, it's the foreigner's fault, or it's the bourgeoisie's fault, or it's Satan's fault, or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's absolutely really essential and critical and important as fuck to accept it for what it is, to accept it as an aspect of life that you cannot escape, and just make use of it. You know, don't hold blame to something else. You're gonna suffer it. You know, sometimes it's your fault, sometimes it's not your fault. You know, how many times do you feel like you're doing great things and then life just fucking puts you like 5 steps back? It is what it is. That's just how life works. So I feel like just accepting it and not allowing something else to guide you, I guess, I don't know. It's just how I want to roll. So thank you guys for watching and listening. Do appreciate it very much. Hope everyone stays productive. Your boy did start a new gym. I will be coming out because my boy Frank is going to help me out putting these training videos. I have left the commercial gym environment. Fuck that shit. I really did want a different vibe. You know, I do take this shit quite seriously. And the vibes and the fucking music. Like, who comes up with the fucking playlist of commercial fitness centers? Why the fuck do you have Katy Perry? Whatever. But I joined Miami Iron Gym. Fucking fantastic. I just got off a deload, so I do expect a fantastic workout. And want to record it, put it out for you guys, and hopefully y'all learn something from that as well. So till next time, guys. Peace.